our own VPC. VPC 192 CIDR range, internet gateway, IGW 192, and attached to VPC subnet, ये कल से कुछ सबनेट बना हुआ है, मुझे लगता है डिलीट हो चुका है. So create subnet under which VPC? VPC 192, public one, zone A, CIDR range, one public, and I am going to create two private because my requirement two private. Private one should be in A, one should be in B. 192.168.0 dot, say I am using 32.28. Another subnet, private 2, availability zone should be B, 1A and 1 in B, 192.168.0 dot 48/28. Subnet 3 subnet, 1 public and 2 private. Route table, create route table, route public VPC 192, another route table, route private VPC 192, now in public route subnet associates, only one subnet is there, public, I associate it, and routes we have to add any packets. क्या क्या बोलिए? जी, मतलब एनी पैकेट. नहीं, ये इन लोगों का कुछ मैटर है, लिखा है ऐसे. इसका मतलब है अगर आपका कहीं भी जाना है कोई भी पैकेट को, ठीक है, जैसे आपके घर में मान लीजिए आपका बहुत बड़ा घर है, 50 रूम है, बहुत सारा लोग रहते हैं, कोई भी लोगों को मतलब कोई भी किसी भी इंसान को अगर कहीं जाना है बाहर तो कहाँ से जाएंगे? मेन गेट से. यहाँ हो गया गेटवे, वही बता रहा हूँ. हाँ, उसके बिना तो कहीं जा नहीं पा सकता, ठीक है, इसलिए वही बता रहा हूँ कि इंटरनेट गेटवे से कोई भी पैकेट अगर उसका डेस्टिनेशन 000 मतलब कहीं भी है कोई भी पैकेट का, तो तो वो टारगेट क्या होगा उसका, मेन गेट, तो गेटवे, ठीक है, यहां से वो जा सकते हैं, इसके सिवा कहीं से नहीं जा सकते. एंड अनदर रूट टेबल that is private and subnet associates. We have to add two subnet, private 1 and private 2, and there was no root table, right? So my VPC is ready. Now I am going to create RDS in private side. Okay, so RDS. In this RDS, first we have to create subnet group. In this subnet group, minimum 2 subnet, requirement minimum 2 subnet, and this 2 subnet, one should be in zone A, one should be in zone B. Okay, by mistake if you create both the subnet in same zone, then it will show error. High availability purpose, it is asking this one. See, these are different subnet. I am going to delete this one. Let's create one subnet, MySQL subnet. Description, MySQL subnet. VPC 192. Availability zone, see, C is not required, AB is there. I am going to choose this AB, right? C is not required. Option over. Subnet, where this database is going to create. Okay, we have to choose this. This is private 2 AP South 1B, and this is private 1 AP South 1A. Combining this, DB subnet is going to create. So DB subnet created. This is important and this is required. Parameter group, option group, this is completely database oriented. Database tuning, database troubleshoot purpose, these are. Now I am going to create one database using this MySQL subnet. So when I am going to create this database, create database, what is my requirement? MySQL. Engine 8 point. This is for free tier. Single AG. Database 1, no issue. Admin name, no issue. Self-managed password. Master password, capital W. Welcome 123. It is not going to accept @ capital W, welcome 123. Machine, storage, connectivity, not default VPC, our VPC. Automatically it will accept the subnet because only one subnet is there in this VPC. Publicly, yes. Security group, you can use this default. Later if it is required, we will check the IP address. Availability zone, this database is going to create where? A or B, anywhere. See, this security group is most important, because we are not going to connect this RDS from my IP, from on-premises. From on-premises we are not going to connect. Because, why? Because our database is going to create in private site. VPC time also, when we access private instance, we are going to access it from bation host. So in this VPC, in this RDS, we have to set the security group. It is going to connect from that bation host. By default it is going to accept my IP, but we have to change this IP to bastion host IP. Okay, so right now just try to create it. Certificate, tag, database, monitoring. I'm not going to choose anything. Okay, now when I try to create the database, it is going to show one warning or error. It is not going to create, because in our VPC DNS related one option is not selected by default. Check it, create database. It will show your request to create DB instance database didn't work. Why? Cannot create a publicly accessible DB instance. Specific VPC does not support DNS resolution, DNS hostname, or both. So this is one problem. Okay, how to solve it? Move to your VPC, select it, action, edit VPC setting, and enable DNS hostname. This is not going to accept by default. Save it. Back to your database. Close this warning error. Try to create database. This time database is going to create, and it will take 3 to 4 minutes. Last option is, first now it is creating. Last option is, that is backing up, that is backup of the database. So let it be create. I am going to create one instance. Okay, I am going to create one instance, that is our bastion host. We have to create instance, that is our bastion host instance, in public site. Launch instance, bastion host, Amazon Linux, T2 micro, key pair. We have to create one key pair. Key pair name is bastion key, and it should be PEM, not PPK, because when we are going to connect our database, first we connect our bastion host via SSH, and then from that machine to database connection, that is through SSH, on SSH. Okay, so PEM is required. Key pair created. Network, most important part. We have to choose our own VPC. We have to choose public. Bastion host should be in public. Public IP should be enabled. Security group, bastion host security group, bastion host security group, and SSH from my IP, 8 GB launch instance. So instance is going to launch in public site. So our main target is, we are going to connect this machine, okay, and then from there we are going to try to connect our database. So how to connect it? See, we are using Workbench, MySQL Workbench. In this Workbench, कहाँ? क्यों करोगे बोलो? क्या? ये तो MySQL Workbench है, इसको इंस्टॉल करना है, तो कल ही बताया था. MySQL का इतना सारा प्रोडक्ट है, सिर्फ यही इंस्टॉल करना है. ठीक है, वर्कबेंच ये क्लाइंट होता है उसका, ग्राफिकल क्लाइंट. So yesterday we create this one. I'm just going to delete this connection. Today we have to create one connection like this. Try to understand it. When I try to create connection, we didn't connect directly the database. First we have to connect bation host to MySQL. So we have to change this one, standard TCP IP over SSH. Once I change it, first four options: SSH hostname, that is your bation host IP address; SSH username, that is EC2 user; and SSH key file, that is the PIM file of the bation host. This is bation host information. And next, MySQL endpoints, MySQL port, root username, admin in our case, and password we have to set it here. So in your MySQL workbench, yesterday I show you directly connect to database, but today we are not going to connect directly because database available in private side. So standard TCP IP over SSH. First four options: SSH hostname, SSH user, SSH password, SSH key file. That is your bation host information. MySQL hostname, MySQL server port, MySQL username, MySQL password. These are MySQL related options. Then only it is going to connect. Okay. So let's see what is the status. My bation host is running. My database also available. And my database endpoint. This is my database endpoint. So let's connect it. This is my bation host and this is the public IP. Plus sign. Just name connection. Change TCP over SSH. This is your bation host IP address. EC2-user, SSH key, bation host key. Now MySQL information. MySQL endpoint. Port number 3306, username, admin, and vault password is capital W, welcome 123. By default is 3306, but DBA they can change. If DBA is going to change something, then they will send you this. This is the port and others, that link. Now test connection. Could not test connection. Fail to connect MySQL this with user admin. एडमिन ही तो था. System error. Okay, why it is not going to connect? In your database security group, in database security group, by default it is mentioned from my IP. We have to change it. What it is going to mention? Something different. So delete it. And database security group, MySQL Aurora, from which IP? Custom. Which IP? This instance, private IP 192.168.0.5. 192.168.0.5/32. Then save rule. Now try to connect. It is successful. So understand what is the requirement, because database is going to connect from bation host, not from my IP. So we have to change that IP address of bation host. OK, and then click OK. It is going to create the connection. Click here. It is going to connect your database via bation host. Okay. Now in your database, that is database knowledge. Through Workbench you can create table, database and others. That is not your part. If you know, that is the advantage, but it is not mandatory. So what are the important things? In EC2 instance, that is your bation host, key should be PIM key. Okay, key should be PIM. Mind it, number one. Number two, when you create your RDS, first you have to create DB this subnet. Okay, and here should be two subnet, and subnet 1 and subnet 2 both are private, should be in different availability zone. If you create two private subnet and both are in zone A or zone B, then it is not going to create DB subnet. DB high availability purpose, what is the requirement? Different zone, and minimum 2 subnet. More than 2 no issue, but minimum 2 is required and in different zone. That is one more important thing. Once your database is created, inside of your database the security group is most important, because creation time by default it is going to create one security group, but we have to change it. What we have to change? MySQL through connection, that is true, but from where? From the private IP of your bation host /32. So in this security group of your database, we just use, it is going to connect from MySQL Aurora 192.168.0.5/32, only from this IP. Okay, and connection time, again I am telling this one, this is important. Workbench, I just delete it. Click on plus sign, and we have to change standard TCP/IP over SSH. Now your connection name, any name. First 4 option is your bation host information, bation host public IP, bation host user EC2-user, and SSH key, that is the PIM key. Then your database information, MySQL host information, that is endpoints, MySQL port, username is admin in our case, and password, click on this store in vault and pass the password. Then test connection and check it. Once it is OK, OK and continue. So let's connect it once more. Connection, it should be TCP/IP over SSH, then this public IP of your bashing host, what should I write here? EC2 hyphen user, then key. This key should be PEM key, not PPK, because we are not using putty. Then MySQL information. So first, no. If you are going to connect your bashing host from putty, then it's a putty PPK. But here they are using standard TCP over SSH. So over SSH means first SSH. First this MySQL workbench is going to connect your bashing host using SSH, direct SSH. So direct SSH means PEM key, not using putty. Putty is a third party, this MySQL is a third party, completely different. Okay, so they are using core thing, that is the SSH protocol. So SSH purpose, what is the requirement? PEM key. Okay, if you want to connect your bashing host also from your command prompt, suppose if I move to this download, bashing host is there. If I use command line from here, SSH EC2 hyphen user at permission denied, because we have to change the permission of our PEM key to 600. Okay, by default permission is different. So in Windows we have to right click and change the permission. 600, it should be 600. 600 means RW and total hyphen. Okay, then you can connect it, because in this location if you check, your PEM key is there. This is your PEM key, bashing hyphen key dot PEM. From here if you connect through SSH command line, then PEM key is required, not PPK. So when I connect through putty, we use PPK. When I connect through SSH, we use PEM key. So right now my database endpoint. So EC2 information is over. Now database endpoint, port number, username. Installation time you can utilize any username. It is default admin, I didn't change it. Now password, capital W, welcome 123. Then test connection. So once it is success, initially if you try, it is not going to success because your database security group. Then you have to change the security group rules. And now once you OK, it is connected. Click here. It is going to connect your database via bashing host. Now database is created. Okay, database connection also over. Now deletion purpose, database, select, action, delete, uncheck, uncheck, check, and delete me. Let it be delete, it will take some time. EC2 instance, terminate. Once EC2 terminated, database terminated, then VPC going to terminate. We have to wait for this, because if you try to delete right now your VPC, delete VPC, it will show unable to delete, because so many things are there. So you have to wait for this. EC2 still shutting down, database still deleting. So I'm going to stop the video.